There you are. Oh, I saw you.
Okay. All right. Let's see if we can do this right. So, today, I wanted to talk about coronavirus, college football, some other bits. I'm joined by a guest. You can probably hear her. Baby, go ahead.
Hey.
Ah, there you go. All right. Okay. So, wow, this is super clean picture that I'm very excited about. But I had a rundown and now I have misplaced my rundown because that's what you do. But look, the reason that I chose right now, quite honestly, like an hour and a half ago, to do this and to go live is to talk about coronavirus, COVID 19, and how it's affecting sports in particular. Sports in particular. What we know about it is quite simple. It is a virus that affects the lungs, respiratory function. It has affected more than 100,000 people worldwide. The WHO, that's the World Health Organization, called it a global pandemic, or a pandemic is global, as I am continuing to remind myself over and over again. But more than that, it's really scary because of how we're reacting to it, and we're reacting to it by overreacting to it. And I'm a fan of overreacting to it because, it's affecting a bunch of people, but a bunch of people are still okay after having contracted the disease. Now, there have been a number of mortalities, right? But we're talking about Italy, where it's getting to be really dicey. 12,000 folks have been affected in a population of 60 million people. Giuseppe Conte decided that, hey, we're going to quarantine the entire country, and I'm shutting down every business that is not a, a hospital, a pharmacy, a bank, or a grocery store, and restricting movement. Nobody can travel without permission because they're really trying to stop this thing in its tracks and let the virus do what it needs to do. And we're all a little bit terrified because, unlike H1N1, which was the last time that the World Health Organization actually categorized something as a pandemic, we had a vaccine. So we saw countries that would go and buy bunches and bunches of this vaccine and then didn't get a chance to use it all, and they were kind of pissed about that. For which I'm going, oh, okay, so we're being a little bit too cautious, and that's why we're pissed. Now, we got to wait for a vaccine to be developed, right? And that's what's scary about this. So, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. The NCAA tournament is going to be played. It's going to be played in empty arenas. Why does that affect all of us? Well, because we like watching the games, and we like watching the games played with crowds, and people like going to the games. And that's really what this is about. I mean, even at the radio station where I work, we had this giveaway that we were planning for the 4 final teams, as we kept having to refer to it. I'm going to send people to it. We had promotions that were ready to go for Monday. I have no idea whether or not those promotions are still going on, but I doubt it because right now, at least for the first couple of weeks, there are not going to be any people in these seats. And tonight, the NBA is going to see its first team play without fans in attendance, just what they're calling essential personnel, sports staff, and family members. So the Golden State Warriors will play the Brooklyn Nets at Chase Center tonight in front of just their friends and family, which doesn't make it any different than any Blacktop or YMCA. But it will feel weird, and it will be a different experience. It'll be really interesting to see if Steph Curry knocks down a 3 and then he goes like this to his daughter, family. Certainly won't be to you or me. Maybe he gestures to the camera. We'll see. This is a very interesting time. But right now, everybody is acting as I think that they should. Schools have been canceled, or on-campus classes have been canceled and moved to online. I'm all right with all of this. This is fine. All right? This is okay. We're going to see how this goes for the next couple of weeks, and then everybody will revisit. But right now, folks are postponing or canceling. It's going to be weird to watch the Olympic flame lit tomorrow night in Greece in front of absolutely nobody. But it's better than having to cancel the games, right? And it's better than having to cancel, say, the NBA season or cancel the NCAA tournaments altogether. I feel for the kiddos that just want to play ball, but it's nobody's fault that this is going on, and everybody's having to act like adults with it. I get that the NCAA wants to make its $1 billion, and you know what? Probably will, because the games are still going to be on television, which is what the money's for. You're going to lose a lot at the gate. You're going to feel some financial impact. We saw the stock market not crash, but dip once again. And we've been getting bad news on top of bad news. I mean, even where I'm from in Tulsa, where I live, it's going to be like 5 straight days of rain here. So it kind of sucks. But I wanted to do this because it's also sports and we're having a good time here. So with that, I'm going to talk about some other things that are going on in sports and how the coronavirus is being affected by them, sure. But also, as Nick Fury once said, until the world ends, we will continue as if it plans to spin on. Right? I like that. Babe, you're laughing at me. Why are you laughing at me?
I'm not laughing at you. I'm enjoying the Nick Fury quote.
Okay. Well, I do think this is going to affect football. I know it's going to affect football because pro days are being rescheduled or moved off campus. For instance, at the University of Tulsa, they were supposed to have pro day tomorrow. Instead of having pro day tomorrow at campus at H.A. Chapman Stadium on Skelly Field, they're moving that to an off-campus facility called Titan Sports Performance, where we hope to see guys like Reggie Robinson and Travis Gibson impress a few NFL scouts that are in town. But there are NFL personnel that have already said we're not going to travel. We're just not going to do it. We'll make our evaluations based on film and film alone. We'd love to be able to see people and talk to people, but that just ain't in the cards this year. I understand that, and I appreciate that. Because the other part about this is if we did not actually act right now, you would miss not just the NCAA tournament, but perhaps the NFL draft and even a good portion of the baseball season leading into the 2020 Olympic Games that are going to be played in Tokyo for the time being. But if this thing became really intense, we're at 100,000 people. We're not at 100 million. Okay? That's the silver lining here. Everybody's acting appropriately. And I think everybody is really getting into this now that the NCAA tournament is going to be played without folks in the arena. But it wasn't as if this was not already going on in some way, shape, or form elsewhere. So with spring football, do we want it? Sure. Do we enjoy it? Absolutely. Are we going to be able to go to the spring game? Maybe. But I wouldn't count on it. For instance, the Oklahoma spring game is April 18th. That's about, 9 weeks from now? Or not 9 weeks. 5 weeks from now? It's possible, but I doubt it. And you know what football coaches don't want to deal with? Media, responsibilities to fans, none of that. They just want to go coach ball. And they probably get a lot done early on, and they probably don't need all 15 practices, but they would love to have them. An excuse to get bigger, stronger, faster. And what I like most about this from the sports standpoint is nobody's getting a competitive advantage with a pandemic in play. It's just not going to happen. So Texas is not getting a little bit further ahead on Oklahoma because they're choosing to act as if a pandemic is not in place. No. Everybody has kids that are involved with this. Everybody has family members that are involved with this. We all care a great deal about this. So there's food for thought here. Yo, man, you know the rules for the chat. You can't come in here and use profanity. Use profanity, you're going to get blocked. Matter of fact, I gotta get Laurel the moderation privileges.
I didn't see it.
No, it's all right. You wouldn't see it. I have to give you those privileges, and then you would see it. Boogie, I think, is the only person that has them right now as a moderator.
All right. I'm watching the comments, though.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
So, now that I've addressed coronavirus, what do you want to address? Because, before all this had happened, it was going to be kind of a surprise. And Laura and I were going to talk through the OKC Thunder game tonight. That's going to happen at 7 o'clock, where they take on the Utah Jazz at Chesapeake Energy Arena. I expect to see a bunch of people there, but then again, I went to the gym this morning and I saw 2 people. Maybe everybody just taking some time off. I don't know. Be interesting.
That's my excuse.
Oh, you're taking some time off? Yeah, I mean, look, I'm incapable of taking time off on these things. There's more to talk about, I'm sure, but it feels like this COVID-19 is just occupying a large swath of my brain. Because when I do these segments, like in the morning, like today, I did this segment with Jerry, which you guys will hear later, where I asked him, should Tua Tagovailoa get drafted number 2 overall by the Washington Redskins? To which I answered the question. I'll answer the question again, seeing as we're all kind of here. There's 37,000 people subscribed to this channel. There are 72 folks watching this right now. I appreciate every one of you. Should the Washington Redskins draft Tua Tagovailoa number 2 overall? No, probably not. Number 1, there's a great pass rusher on the board right now. His name is Chase Young. He set records and stuff. Number 2, you don't need a quarterback. You traded up to go get a quarterback. And while I didn't agree with you trading up to go get Dwayne Haskins, I think he's good enough for you to build around. And number 3, Tua Tagovailoa does nothing but get hurt. 3 straight years we've been dealing with this dude. 3 straight years the man has missed football games because he got hurt. Both of his ankles are surgically repaired. His hip is surgically repaired. All right? Now he got these hold me closer tiny dancer ankles, and we're supposed to trust this man to be your franchise signal caller for years to come. I don't buy it. Now somebody's going to take him in the first 10 picks, but it wouldn't be me if I'm the Washington Redskins because I need help on the defense and I have a franchise quarterback. But if you are Ron Rivera, and this is the Socratic part of this argument, yeah, I'm going to dangle out there that I'm thinking about drafting Tua Tagovailoa because why not? I would love to have the other dudes behind me that are thinking about moving up to go get this dude worried about going to get this dude and whether or not the Redskins going to take him off the board. Because worst case scenario, let's say the Redskins draft Tua Tagovailoa. All right, so now you got a really great quarterback who is coming off of winning a national championship, like coming off the bench to win a national championship for an Alabama squad. And you got another in Dwayne Haskins who basically put together the second best Ohio State season we had seen up until they'd won, or since winning the national championship, and then they had the 2018 or 2019 season, which was phenomenal. So you have those two dudes to compete against each other going into camp. But what you would probably end up doing is trading one of them, probably Tua. Not unlike what the Arizona Cardinals did when they brought in Kyler Murray after trading up to go get Josh Rosen. And Josh Rosen, bless his heart, ain't had a real opportunity to win the job. The only real opportunity he had to win the job was at Miami, and he got cooked, and they put Ryan Fitzpatrick in there. So Josh Rosen might actually just be laying in the cut, making about $27 million annually to be, what, awesomely good on the bench? I think if you're Ron Rivera, sure, this is a good play. I also know that Dan Snyder owns the team, and Dan Snyder looked at everybody and said, draft Dwayne Haskins. Don't talk to me about drafting nobody else. Draft Dwayne Haskins. They were like, hey, man, we don't really like that dude. We think we can get a better quarterback. We think that there's better options for us in this first round. I don't care. I own the team. Do what I say, which is what owners do. Right? We'll see if that changes with Ron Rivera, but I doubt it. I sincerely doubt it. Now, unpacking that just a little bit further, you also got Trent Williams on the trade block, which means that you're going to use your all-pro left tackle and noted son of Oklahoma and was a top 10 pick, top 5 pick in the 2010 draft. But that dude wanted to be traded and get paid $20 million to play left tackle. And hey, money, you plus 30. You are on the downside. You are not worth no $20 million annually. It's just not what it is. Now, I understand you don't want to play with Washington because you had a tumor in your head and none of the doctors diagnosed that till it was too late, so you missed significant time. You don't trust any of the doctors. You tried to hold out. It didn't work. You want to collect them game checks, and now you're trying to get traded, to which they could probably just flip you the middle finger and say, you're going to do what we tell you to do. But if you do trade him and you don't get back a capable left tackle, that means that you probably going to be exposed at left tackle. And if you're exposed at left tackle, you know who's probably going to get beat to hell? The quarterback. Now, I don't want Dwayne Haskins to catch all these L's with all these defensive ends that are trying to come for his kidneys. They're going to try to have him pissing blood. They're going to try to have him begging for mercy. But I trust him to get up a little bit more than I trust Tua Tagovailoa to get up. Because all we've seen with that dude is when somebody gets their hands on him, he breaks, he crackles, and he's injury prone. I don't need my quarterback being injury prone. That's not what I need. I don't care how good he is throwing the football. If he's injured, he can't throw the football. It's really that simple. Now, are there other options we could take? Sure. They could draft Isaiah Simmons, and I would not be mad at him. Because Isaiah Simmons has the highest ceiling of anybody in this draft. Isaiah Simmons can play linebacker, safety, cornerback, outside linebacker, edge rusher, pass rusher. He can hold the snap, kick the extra point, punt the football, return the kick. Probably one hell of a pass, punt, and kick player. But I also had that need on my defensive line. So I might go ahead and get Chase Young and leave the other folks to fight over Isaiah Simmons, who I really don't expect to get past number 4. I really don't see that. Now, probably should check the chat. Babe, you see any questions in there worthwhile?
Joey Cottapony says, don't take vaccines. That's my personal favorite. No? Too soon?
Joey, Joey, homie, are you the dude that are saying that you don't want to take the vaccine because they're just gonna make you sick by giving you the sickness? Are you that dude? Are you the dude that doesn't get a flu shot because you say they're injecting you with the flu? Is that you, homie? Because I got this Facebook moms group that I know would love to have a new member, but you can't be talking that kind of mess in the channel. You liable to get put in timeout with that kind of mess, all right? We're not here for no anti-vaccine, okay? We can't do it.
You got 2 new subscribers and 2 super chats.
Oh, right on.
Yep. Miles Montoya and Real Spill 101.
Very cool. Very cool. Travis, yes, I have been to Veneta many times. Matter of fact, on my way in, we got the Golden Arches, you got the Golden Arcs over the turnpike. Yes, I know. What else we got in here? Let's have some things. Too many people are asleep. It's 6:30. We got started at like 6:10.
That's your vaccines guy. That's the same dude. So he's commenting on
go ahead.
Society being asleep. Which I don't disagree, but whatever.
Okay. All right.
So here's one.
We got.
Where's CD going? Cardinals or Raiders?
It's a good question. All right, so Kyler Murray wants to be reunited with CD Lamb. Suge White, a.k.a. Steve Keim, general manager, who looks like Suge Knight, but he's white. Google a picture of Steve Keim, and you'll see what I'm talking about. He said, look, I understand that Kyler really likes the guy, and when you see him, I can see why he likes him. Big hands, big body, catches everything around him. He's kind of like DeAndre Hopkins, which is a really good comp. Because if it's in the vicinity, CeeDee Lamb turns into Clifford Franklin. Clifford Franklin only one catching it. Clifford Franklin only one coming round with it. Now, when he was talking about catching it, he was ironically talking about catching the common cold, which is not COVID-19. But you get my drift on this. On the other hand, when I went to Bedlam in Stillwater to watch OU and Oklahoma State play last season, Boone Pickens Stadium, I sat in the press box, and the radio folks usually sit behind the writers in the second row and behind the scouts in the second row. So who was the scout that was sitting in front of me as I'm sitting in the second row because I'm a radio dude, but Mike Mayock. Many of you know Mike Mayock for his work on NFL Network, great draft analyst, all around good dude to talk ball to, kind of turned into a curmudgeon, but in a good way as a general manager for the Las Vegas Raiders. That man showed up, sat down, opened up his binder, and had CD Lamb written in black letters across it, to which I'm going, oh, snap, okay. Know who you're here to see. And we know that they have a need at wide receiver because they famously tried like hell to make the Antonio Brown situation work, but the Antonio Brown situation did not work. And then you find out Jordy Nelson don't want to do this no more. And Tyrell Williams ain't it. Josh Jacobs is great, but you need help on the outside. So you're going to be in the market for a wide receiver. You're also going to be in the market for a space linebacker like Isaiah Simmons. Okay? And I have a belief that it's harder for me to find great defensive players than it is for me to find great offensive players. However, in that game, Oklahoma State cornerback A.J. Green also held CeeDee Lamb to 4 catches for 36 yards. This is in a season where CeeDee Lamb is averaging better than 21 yards per catch and averaging 99.9 yards per game heading into Bedlam. Okay? Had a really great season. Was the most dominant wide receiver for Oklahoma. And depending on who you believe, wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 in this draft, right? Could be him, could be Jerry Jeudy. There's an argument for Henry Ruggs, but I just don't buy it. T. Higgins could also be in there, but since he hasn't gone through much of the combine stuff, people kind of got him going down the board. But he's 6'4", 230. So, he's still got size and hands and speed. However, I think that we are much more likely to see CeeDee Lamb actually get drafted a little bit higher and used as a trade chip. Because if I am the Raiders, and I know I got 2 first-round picks, I might just wait for CeeDee Lamb to come down a little bit more so I can go get Isaiah Simmons or even Caleb Von Chasen, edge rusher, outside linebacker out of LSU that beat the bricks out of Oklahoma. You understood what it was, right? Then there is the theory being trotted out by NFL draft analysts, not by me, that my Dallas Cowboys would be able to select CeeDee Lamb at number 17. To which I'm going, I'd be shocked if CeeDee Lamb gets to number 17. And I'd be even more shocked if CeeDee Lamb got to number 17 and the Dallas Cowboys took him. Because what do the Dallas Cowboys need? They need a corner. They need a safety. They need C.J. Henderson coming out of Florida. They need Xavier McKinney coming out of Alabama. They need Grant Delpit coming out of LSU. Okay? That's what you need. That's the need. But since when has Jerry Jones actually drafted what we need? You know? Jerry got that owner complex where I'm going to do what I'm going to do and you going to live with it. Didn't nobody tell you got to root for my team? Fine. So there are 3 places CeeDee Lamb could end up. But I sincerely think that he's going to be a Raider today because Mike Mayock showed up to Pro Day today. Okay? Mike Mayock was in attendance and giving out interviews to local media outlets, which I appreciate. You a real one, Mike. They don't ever give us no local interviews. I usually got to browbeat somebody with some sort of national following to get him on the show. Matter of fact, when I finally got Joel Klatt to come on the show, first thing he said was, you sent the Twitter mob after me. I'm like, yo, man, we've been chasing you for like a year. It ain't new. You know? Shout out to Doug Gottlieb. I love his show. I love sports talk. It's fun. What you giggling back there?
So?
George, why you spamming the comments, man? I'm not even able to read these, but you like spamming them. What's the point there? What's the point there? Also, so this is going to happen at 6 o'clock, but YouTube changed the interface on the live settings. So we were really like sitting over here and I'm thinking that I got something going on wrong with my live streaming software and I got to troubleshoot because you know what the history of this channel is. RJ doesn't know how to live stream or remember to turn mics on and that sort of thing. And you know what it was? It's the go live button in the right hand corner. Clicked it and we was good. And now you can see with this beautiful picture that we have here. This is gorgeous with gorgeous sound. You know, members, super chat, this is y'all. This is a very expensive camera. You can see my gold all Trinidad James microphone. We got the sound mix over here. You can hear my girlfriend in the back. Maybe one day we'll put her on camera. Maybe one day we won't. I don't know. We'll see. She's much cuter to look at than me.
Negative.
Does Caleb Williams end up at Oklahoma? There's a good question. That one's Biggie Mendel. All right, Biggie. Allow me to Major Payne break this down. Caleb Williams takes an extended visit to Oklahoma last week, culminates in what I thought went really well. His father spoke to 247 Sports national analyst Steve Wiltfong. And speaking to Steve Wiltfong, he said it was a super impressive visit. He really likes how Oklahoma gets down, and they all was able to figure out how to get down a little bit more over the weekend. So we got some one-on-one time with Caleb Williams. Lincoln Riley got to show mama around campus, got to show mama what all these academics going to be about, even as Caleb Williams probably going to be up out of there in 3 years if he decide to come to Oklahoma. And then on Monday morning to follow, what do we see? Caleb Williams changes his Twitter profile picture from him in an LSU helmet to his mama being hugged by Lincoln Riley. Say that's a good move. However, Caleb Williams took an extended visit to LSU last November where he got to be buddy-buddy with Joe Burrow and Joe Brady. Felt real good about it. And coming out of that visit, I'm like, yeah, he going to LSU. And then you had the Brock Vandagriff situation pop off where Brock Vandagriff decided that he was going to reopen his recruitment on New Year's Day at noon. Which means I had to get up off the couch from watching Citrus Bowl, Michigan, and Alabama go do some work. Which I am not happy about. And then Oklahoma needs to find another quarterback for the 2021 class. And losing a 5-star quarterback is never going to be a small thing. But being able to trade up to a better 5-star quarterback is a Lincoln Riley flex. So you get the kiddo back on campus. And it goes well, as I said. And then at the end of this story that Wiltfong wrote, using Carl Williams' quotes, there's an interesting bit about, we will be going back to LSU. Cool, I expected that. We want to see how we vibe with the new staff. What's interesting about that is that Steve Ensminger didn't go nowhere. Steve Ensminger's still the offensive coordinator. tells you just how important Joe Brady was to Caleb Williams' recruiting process. And it's really about, is Scott Linehan going to be able to convince Caleb Williams that LSU is the place to be? Because Scott Linehan is going to be the dude that is most involved in Caleb Williams' development, even as Steve Ensminger is trying his best to tell everybody, I'm the offensive coordinator, I run the offensive side of the football. Even if that's true, Scott Linehan's going to have to show everybody that he's here to recruit because he hasn't been in college football in some time and famously ran my Cowboys into the ground with his vanilla offense. And I still got feelings about Scott Linehan. Might be a different dude at LSU. Obviously, with Matt Stafford in Detroit, had over 5,000 yards passing. Okay, cool. Not let alone that was 10 years ago and Megatron was still playing football, but whatever. Y'all can hold on to that. That's fine. Ed Orgeron is the wild card for me in all of this. Because there are 3 coaches, 4 now that I think about it because of Drake May, but 4 coaches in all of college football I am not prepared to bet against. One of those is Dabo Swinney. You know him. Little old Clemson. Little old national champion Clemson. Little old 29-1 in 2 seasons Clemson. Alabama, Nick Saban, who famously went into Jace McClellan's house the night before early signing period and flipped a 2-year commitment from Oklahoma to Alabama. Gump coming through. The third one, Lincoln Riley, but haven't seen a whole lot of Lincoln Riley, right? So we got to remove Lincoln Riley from the list. So we're going to replace that third one with Mack Brown. Why are we replacing the third one with Mack Brown? Because Mack Brown went and got a committed 2021 quarterback to Alabama and flipped him in March. In March. Now, you'll say, hey, RJ, wasn't this kid's dad a quarterback for Mack Brown in North Carolina? Yeah, he was. Hey, RJ, wasn't this kid's brother a basketball player at North Carolina? Yeah, Luke was. But I would say to you, wasn't this kid committed to play quarterback at Alabama and the only quarterback in the 2021 class? Hello? That's Nick Saban's first choice. Mack Brown is out here making moves. All Mack Brown did last year was flip a Florida State committed quarterback to a North Carolina quarterback, and Sam Howell turned out to be the best true freshman quarterback in the country last year. Now, number 4 says go Tigers at the end of every single interview. And he says it with a real guttural Louisiana drawl. Go Tigers. That dude gets who he wants. That dude is out recruiting places where they ain't got mailboxes. All right? Ed Orgeron lives to be on the road. My favorite Ed Orgeron story is how he landed Kayvon Chasen. Kayvon Chasen is going to be a first-round draft pick. You know that he was terrorizing Oklahoma off the edge wearing that number 18. Kayvon Chasen also had it in to go to Texas or Oklahoma. He's from Texas. Kayvon Chasen told Ed Orgeron, hey, coach, I ain't got time for an in-home visit. I'm getting on a plane to take an unofficial visit to Florida. Sorry, coach, ain't got time for you. Ed Orgeron says, make time. He says, I can't make time for you. We got to be at the airport at 6 a.m. in the morning. And then the next day at 4 a.m., what do you hear but, wake up! No, that is shaking the camera, shaking the house. Ed Orgeron in his booming voice showed up to your door at 4 a.m. in the morning because you going to give him his in-home visit. That man got them people up, started talking to Kayvon Chasen while he getting dressed, finishing packing up. And my man straight up took the dude to TSA, like up to the gate, talking about, I got to get you to LSU. I know exactly what to do with you. We got to get you to LSU. I know what to do with you. Do you hear me, Kayvon? When you get back, let's get back to LSU. I know exactly what you need to be doing. That's called recruiting. And everybody wants to be recruited. I don't know what Lincoln Riley's pitch is beyond imagery. And he's really good at selling imagery. Unveiling Baker Mayfield's Heisman statue inside Owen Field in front of 50,000 people. That's a good job of selling imagery. He's also very good at staying in contact with kiddos. Even the ones that commit elsewhere, he sends text messages going, how you doing? How your mama doing? Everything all right? Nothing changed? Because some change, you know I still want you. He's good about that. But where he gets a little bit dusted, just a little bit left behind, is that Ed Orgeron, I will sell out bit to get you. Go all out to get you, to get your mama, to get your whole family. He remembers every single kid that got away. You'll recall at the Peach Bowl press conference, this man was lamenting, how did CeeDee Lamb get out of Louisiana? It's like, well, he's from Texas. No, he's from Opelousas. He wanted CeeDee Lamb in the worst way. And there's so many dudes he might look around at and lose. And yet, also, when they played Auburn, what does he do? He goes and finds Big Cat Bryant. He goes and finds Derek Brown. He said, look, I told you, y'all two hell of players. First round draft pick. I told you when I was recruiting you, you're going to be first round draft picks. Look at who you are now. Them boys played at Auburn and you just got done playing against them. Who wouldn't want to play for Ed O? You know? But that's kind of the point. There's only one Ed O. And he's at LSU. And as long as Ed O is the head coach at LSU, I'm going to give him every opportunity in the world to win a recruit. So if Ed O decides to put the full court press on the 5-star from Gonzaga College in Washington, D.C., I'm going to edge to Caleb Williams going to LSU. Till I see that Lincoln Riley is going all out the way that Ed O is going all out. I hope that answers your question. I do like this sports talk stuff. It's fun. New mic is fire. I appreciate that. What else we got in here? It's hard not to sell LSU, at least.
It's not hard.
Oh, it's not hard. I mean, what if it is, though?
Well, if it's an offensive player. Harder.
That's an inside joke, but I'm going to leave it. What else we got in here? How legit is Kansas and Kansas State going to be this fall? Kansas ain't going to be legit at all. Kansas might have got worse. Kansas got negative recruiting stories in the Kansas City Star in the paper. They got kids going on record talking about, yeah, I wanted to go to Kansas. And then Les Miles called me, asked my mom if she was there, hung up on me, called my mom to tell my mom that they were pulling my offer. After that kid had been committed for months, would wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning to drive to KU games so that he could be on the sideline and go through the whole deal wearing his KU colors because he was so excited to be an offensive lineman playing for the Kansas friggin' Jayhawks, and Les Miles out here pulling commits. Why? Because we still have NCAA rules that allow for coaches to offer more scholarships than they have. Tennessee famously will offer close to 300 scholarships with 25 spots. Okay? Oklahoma will offer more than 250 scholarships for 25 spots. Alabama will do the same thing. And one of the reasons that we have the 25 spots is because Houston Nutt was oversigning everybody. Houston Nutt would give everybody a commitment, sign everybody, get them all showed up to campus, and then not have enough scholarships. Wait, what? So the NCAA said, oh, no. We're capping this at 25 a year. Now, we're seeing kiddos like this one who were in the boat being kicked out of the boat. LSU just did this because they traded up, because they went from a national title contender to a national champ, or presumed to be national champ, in late November. And kiddos that were ready to go to LSU, had committed to LSU, were quietly reopening their recruitment. One of them, Major Burns, ends up going to Georgia. Number of other kids that go through this every single year, which is why I spend a lot of time advocating for the kiddos, because it really ain't up to them in some matters. And that's why I'm saying Zach Evans, flex, son. Flex. He's a 5-star running back who's going to have his opportunity to go where he wants to go. He signed his national letter of intent to Georgia. He got released of his national letter of intent like within 3 weeks for whatever reason. But don't act like Texas A&M don't want him, or Florida doesn't want him, or Tennessee doesn't want him, or Ole Miss doesn't want him, or your school wouldn't want him. Save Georgia. Georgia also got Kendall Milton, Kenny McIntosh, Dejan Edwards, and Zamir Weiss. They cool at running back. They all right. So will Kansas be any good? No. You lost Khalil Herbert in the transfer portal. He's going to play running back at Vatech, which is also ironic because Justin Fuente told his kids anyone that goes in the transfer portal ain't coming back out at Virginia Tech. Womp. I don't know, man. White or brown gravy. Don't get putting time out there, John. Don't do that.
There's a potato theme going through. I don't know what it means.
Okay. Well, apparently George is in here doing something stupid.
No, George went to watch a movie.
Oh, okay. Never mind. What else we got in here? Anything worthwhile?
Yeah, there was a question. I'm looking for it, though.
I should build segment breaks into this. Just to reset, go back to the rundown instead of talking through this.
And have a commercial?
Yeah. Let's do a for real show with like banners. I know that everybody in here just wants to raw, but I like doing shows. Shows are fun. That's why you like a sports talk show as opposed to, hi, I'm Facebook Living from the stadium. No, I mean, we all get started how we get started, but you want to get better, man.
So one of your fans in here was at the Jazz game and said it was pretty empty. That's interesting.
I don't doubt that. I think I mean, it hasn't started yet, and those we can't assess the OKC Thunder game, I think, until halftime about who's going to be there because traffic is traffic. But I wouldn't be surprised people just staying indoors, being like, I don't need y'all breathing on me. I get that. You know, we all fist pounding each other. Let me see. I drew up some air raid stuff. Any suggestions? 4 verts. Just run 4 verts. And when that doesn't work, run mesh. And when that doesn't work, run blue right 92. What is it? YD2 Y cross. I think that's what it is. Let's see. Somebody loves live. Well, what is it that you like about live? Like live is wild. As the content creator, first grammar. Does your girlfriend like sports like you, RJ?
Oh, sweet sour Carson. I like to watch RJ geek on sports.
Okay. That'll work. Love the new mic. Love your channel, RJ. Appreciate that. I'm reading these from afar because, like, I'm Jameis Winston over here during the Florida State era. So you just going to have to bear with me. And if you didn't get that joke ain't for you. Let's see. How do you see Arkansas football with the upcoming season? I think I'm going to do a segment on this. I'll redo it. So, like, one of the things that I actually struggle with on this channel is taking longer videos, posting the longer video, and then chopping it up and re-uploading it as segments, which is a thing that other channels do all the time. But apparently when I do it, people hate it. To which I'm going, there it is, 95 Y cross. Thank you, Sour. There it is. So, like, sometimes I want to do a segment, like, during the live stream, and then I was like, man, that'll be better as an on-demand upload. And Arkansas is one of them. Because I put out this poll earlier today asking folks, what team would you like me to cover most other than OU football is if I don't talk about whatever it is I want to talk about anyway. And I was actually amazed that it's really broken down pretty evenly on the teams that I put in the poll. And I saw a lot of Arkansas fans in there. And it's like, I like Arkansas. I like Arkansas fans. I like Arkansas fans if no reason they like me. Yeah, man. And I take an interest in teams that OU plays in the postseason, in the offseason, and into the next season because I learned so much about them in that month-long window. So, like, Georgia is always on my mind. There's a Ray joke in there somewhere. Somebody's gonna make it, hopefully. Show me y'all cool. Anyway, I follow LSU a lot now, right? Because I got to know them really well for a month, and I'm sure whoever Oklahoma pulls in a bowl game this year, I'll get to know. Like, I knew a bunch about Texas A&M during the Johnny Football era because Texas A&M stopped a mud hole in Oklahoma and walked you dry in 2012. So forth, so on. So when I think at Arkansas, the first thing is I can't judge you by your record in 2020. Just can't do it. You're not going to be very good, and that's a tough schedule. I'm not going to just guarantee you're going to beat Nevada. And then you got to go up to South Bend and play a Notre Dame team that's going to be looking to compete for a national championship this year. And the SEC West is the SEC West. So when I look at Arkansas, I say, how do you play at quarterback? Because as much as I already have Felipe Franks penciled in as the starting quarterback, many of y'all like, yo, man, remember KJ Jefferson? I'm like, okay, is that why they brought Felipe Franks in? Because KJ Jefferson is so good? You got a new offensive coordinator in Kendall Browse that are going to run a veer and shoot that I really like watching. Barry Odom is going to put in a defense. We'll see if it's any good. I like Levi Draper a ton. Stick him next to Bumper Pool, which is his real name, babe, in case you didn't know. And you're going to be good. I like Jalen Catalon back there at safety. I like Miles Slusher because he's from right here in the Metro. And he can play. He's a 4-star recruit. I like a lot of the pieces. I mean, Rakeem Boyd rushed for over 1,100 yards on a bad football team last year. And if you can give up fewer than 30 points a game, you're in it. Like, there are only 6 teams that were worse in scoring defense last year than Arkansas. And they're like New Mexico State and other trash. So immediately, if Barry Odom makes you better defensively by, let's say, 3 points, you go from being the laughingstock of the SEC to being not so laughingstock of the SEC. Maybe you're in the same category as Vanderbilt. But to do all of that, you're going to have to be sound on the offensive line. And you're going to have to expect to be sound on the offensive line because that's Sam Pittman as your head coach. And he is an offensive line whisperer, and he is an offensive line guru. So you expect to rush for more yards, you expect to hold people to a few more points, and maybe you don't become the team that goes winless in conference play for back-to-back years, because that would be a bad look. So don't lose to the teams that you probably can beat. Be interesting to see how they stack up against the lower teams in the SEC West, like Ole Miss, Mississippi State. And we'll see how it goes from there. If they get a matchup with Missouri, I can't remember off the top of my head if they're on the schedule this year, because the SEC schedule is crappy because they don't have to play round robins, and that's what makes them soft. But that's something else entirely. Live stream and LSU content. I am here for this. Thanks, RJ. I appreciate you, Scott. Let me see. Man, okay. Cam was having a hard time autofocusing, wasn't it? I think this is going to be the last question, then we're going to get out of here. Hey, RJ, do you think we will ever get back to good old days when the Big 12 was what? Running things instead of the SEC boys every year? It's all cyclical. I actually got asked this question at the Jim Thorpe Award selection committee when we were trying to narrow down the finalists, right? Because, Grant Delpit was going to be on the list, and we were really having discussions about other guys from the SEC, like J.R. Reed, who was on the list, and then Jeff Okuda, who was a finalist, which is no small thing. But I made the point that it's cyclical, because 20 years ago, it was Florida. And that was all you really had to worry about. It was Florida, right? Then it became Auburn and Florida, right? Because Urban Meyer picked up where Steve Spurrier left, and they got good. And then Auburn had that undefeated season where they didn't get a chance to play for a national championship. And then here come LSU with the emergence of Nick Saban, and then here comes Alabama with the reemergence of Nick Saban. I think it's cyclical. I think by 2030, we might be talking about a totally different conference. Hell, we might be talking about the Pac-12 coming back from the dead. But right now, it's the SEC's world with the rest of us living in it. And that is remarkably clear because Oklahoma can win the Big 12 and then get ran by an SEC team in the college football playoff, which makes it feel a lot like being All-State in Rhode Island. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling at all. Because I want the conference champion to be indicative of somebody that at least makes a game with the number 1 team in the country as the number 4 team in the country. I don't want to see 63-28 and 49-14 and a half. Nobody wants to see that. And now Oklahoma has this moniker of not being really any good, which we used to talk about Baylor in that way. And Art Briles is Baylor. Be like, they ain't played nobody. They not that good. Why are we talking about them like they're good? Like they're good. Now OU is in that category, and I dislike it. I dislike it quite a bit. Oregon will be good if the quarterback is all right. The defense is going to be delicious. Noah Sewell is awesome. Justin Flo is awesome. Kayvon Thibodeau is awesome. I even had some good things to say about Dante Manning. They returned C.J. Verdell on offense, but they lose a lot on the offensive line. And they got a new quarterback. So will they repeat as Pac-12 champions? They'd be my pick to, but I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona State jumps up and bites them. I wouldn't. I think it's on the table. All right. What else we got? Babe, you got stuff you want to say?
A couple things that I agree with. Sarah Carson would like you to do more history on the air raid coaches, specifically the OGs of it, like where the air raid came from. And I think your listeners, I would like them to chime in. I would love more history stuff. But he's very quick to tell me that nobody likes the history stuff.
Yeah, y'all don't really show up for the history stuff. Like, the views show y'all out. I know what y'all like because I can see what does numbers on this channel and what doesn't. Like, I make an OKC Thunder video and people are like, why don't you do more OKC Thunder content? Because if you check the views on the last one, you see that. Why you talk about OU so much? Because there's a lot of people that actually care about Oklahoma. Why you talk about Texas? Because there's a ton of people that care about Texas and Ohio State and LSU. You know what people don't show up asking for? Like, repeatedly in droves? West Virginia. It's not high on the list of demands here, man. Mississippi State is only cool because Mike Leach is there. Ole Miss is only cool because Lane Kiffin is there. You know, like, I can't wait to see what happens when I make a Tennessee video this offseason. Well, that one actually might do well because Oklahoma's got to play Tennessee with the second game of the season, so we'll see. But the history stuff, y'all only like the predictive stuff. What do I expect to happen? Not what we look at from the past. But I like history. We'll get into it. I actually wrote this really long thing about Hal Mummy and the history of the air raid that I probably should deliver. Maybe I'll do that on the audio podcast. You should download the audio podcast. It's the RJ Young Show podcast. It's on Apple and iTunes. Leave a review. Please leave 5 stars. We got over 200 ratings on it, which you'll know is actually a pretty good number. And, like, a lot of people listen to it. Like, 12,000 monthly downloads. Crazy. It's crazy. All right. Who scares you more, Baylor OC or Texas's OC? Probably Mike Yurcich never beat Oklahoma, and Larry Fedora. I'm not sure if he beat Oklahoma. I don't think he beat Oklahoma either. I don't know that I've ever been scared of a former Oklahoma State offensive coordinator. They don't really win that much. Mike Gundy's been the head coach at Oklahoma State for like 16 years. He's got 2 Bedlam wins. Lincoln Riley's been the head coach at Oklahoma for 3 years. He's got 3 Bedlam wins. I don't really get scared of him. I just don't. And I'll throw this in here as we go out the door. Spencer Rattler has better odds to win the Heisman Trophy than Sam Ehlinger and Chuba Hubbard. Who saw that one coming? Probably ought to make that into a segment, an on-demand segment. All right. If you like the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends. We'd like to get to 40,000 subs before the season starts. I think we're well on the way there. If you like having Laurel on the channel, show her some love. Let her know that you want her back.
I'm not on the channel. Oh, sorry.
I mean, you're talking on it.
I know. I forget the mic is here.
Yeah, Mike's definitely there. Definitely there. All right. We out of here.
You didn't say deuces.